We're going to start off with my special Apple IIe. It's special. I have a few, but this one's kind of special because I've got it loaded with all kinds of goodness. Let's take a quick peek inside before we start, and I'll show you. Let's tilt this camera down a bit, and we can get a better view, hopefully. This card, this is the 80-column card, additional memory. There's a serial card. We have the Grappler Plus parallel card. We have the Microsoft CPM card. This controller card for the 3.5-inch floppy drives, and the standard floppy disk to controller, which is for the 5.25-inch floppy. Now you'll notice this cable goes down here, and I'm going to pull the camera off so you can get a better view. So pardon my hands here. Here we have the W drive. This is a unit which you can put an SD card inside, and it has all kinds of software you can put on yourself, and it boots up into a nice menu, which you will see in a moment when we turn this thing on. So let's get the camera back onto the video. Let me adjust that. All right. So how do you get the built-in diagnostics running on your Apple IIe? This does not work on the 2 Plus. The 2 Plus and the 2 do not have built-in diagnostics, but the Apple IIe does, the 2C and the 2GS have built-in diagnostics. Other computers like the Atari 600 XL has the built-in diagnostics, and I believe the 1200 has also. I'm not sure on that, but I believe it does. Anyways, to turn on your computer, before you turn on your computer to get the diagnostics running, you have to press the close Apple key, which is here, and the open Apple key, which is here. You have to hold them down and turn on the power. So I just use my 2 fingers like this, reach around the back. Now, hold on, before we go there, this machine has a special ROM in there, and this is the ROM-X for the 2E. This is a ROM replacement which allows us to do many interesting and cool things for your 2E, and we'll see the menu pop up when we turn it on. So let's get back up to the monitor. Let me adjust that. All right. So again, you hold the open Apple key, close Apple. It could be close Apple, open Apple. It doesn't matter. You press the 2 keys and turn on the power. Now this menu pops up. This is the ROM-X. This is fine. And this is the screen you would normally get. So if you don't have the ROM-X installed, but just a stock ROM, the same thing will apply. Hold the 2 keys down at the same time while you're powering up, and you'll get this screen. This is doing running the built-in diagnostics. You'll see colors flashing in and so on and so forth. And you give it a few moments, and it will give you a result at the end if there is a problem or if the system is okay. So let's wait and see. Oh, there we go. System okay. So that means everything's working fine. The memory's good. The CPU's good. The ROMs are good. It hasn't found any particular faults. So let's turn this off now. So that's one way to get into a built-in diagnostics. Another way is we're going to power this thing up, and we're here in ROM-X, and we're going to go to the we're going to go where we want to go. Let's go to integer basic B. So I'm going to boot up into integer basic. Actually, okay, so we're going to boot up here. We're going to pick one for the enhanced. It's going to boot up into the drive, the W drive, which is neat because this drive has a menu which you can then pick your programs. You don't have to worry about selecting it externally by pressing buttons. You can just, through this menu here, pick what you want to do. So I'm going to just go to, let's say, DOS. Pick one of my disks here and go there. So now we're booting up into DOS. This also works in ProDOS. So what we do is, now that we're here, how do we get into the diagnostics? Well, the way to do that is to press the Control key, the Apple Open key, not Windows, Apple Open key, Apple Close key, and reset. So we press Control, Apple, reset. And again, this runs the same built-in diagnostics that we saw at the beginning on the boot up. This will again run the same diagnostics. It's going to produce some colors on the screen. It's going to produce some movement, and it looks like it freezes for a little moment, but it's not. It's actually running the diagnostics, and if there's an error, it will appear on the screen. This should come up with System OK, just like it did on the first try. There we go. System OK. That means we're still good. So that's the second way to get into it. The first one was powering on. So if your computer's not working, you can just power it on that way and run the diagnostics. The next is running it through if it's booted up and you want to run a diagnostics, you can do that. The next thing I'm going to show you is we can disconnect the keyboard connector. So what I'm going to do is pull this out and show you the keyboard connector right here. This is the keyboard connector. So what we do is we can pull that out, and it's out. So the keyboard is no longer plugged in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the computer, and don't worry about the ROM-X. It bypasses that, and right away it goes into the built-in diagnostics. So that's another way you can test your computer. Unplug the keyboard and see if it comes up. The IIe board wants to have the keyboard connected, so this is why when you disconnect the keyboard, you get a diagnostics boot by default. And this should come up in just a moment. And see, it didn't like it. It produced it didn't produce an actual error. It does produce an actual error, but you don't see it. It just complains that it's not okay. Something's not right. And in this case, the problem is the keyboard's not plugged in. So let's let it run one last time, and then we'll plug in the keyboard. In the meantime, note the screen. It freezes. It looks like it's not doing anything, but it is. And now we're going to hear the beeps. And see, it didn't give an error, but you know that it's because of the keyboard. So this will keep looping until you fix it. So let's power this off. And we're going to plug in the keyboard one more time. Now that we have the keyboard plugged back in, let's try running the diagnostics one more time. So what it means, again, open Apple, close Apple, and power on. So hold the two keys down, power on the machine. In this case, we have the ROM-X again, but keep holding the keys until this window or this screen pops up. Pardon me, I can't talk today. So we wait for it to finish doing its built-in diagnostics. And in this case, we should see that the system is okay. The keyboard is plugged back in, or the keyboard cable is plugged back in, and let's take a look. Again, this freezing part doesn't mean it's not doing anything. It's doing something. It's just you're not seeing anything on the screen. Here we go. System okay. So we're good. Yay. All right. Let's turn it off and turn it back on. And we're going to boot off the floppy drive, which is the W drive. Now here, the cool thing with this unit is that it has the menu, and I can just select what I want. So what I'm going to do is go down to Diagnostics, and I have IIe Diagnostics, and I have several different diagnostics programs we can run. So let's say, is there ones that I use in particular? No, each one has their pros and cons. Some are better than others. So let's just start with this one here. And because it's running off the SD card, it's much faster to load. So as we can see here, we have the XPS Diagnostics. We have, you can go memory, main memory, system ROM, CPU, etc., peripheral cards, 80 column card, auxiliary memory. We can do keyboard, we can do game controller, floppy drives, etc., even monitor, color, and so on. I'm not going to get into the running the diagnostics programs because there's several of them that I want to just quickly show you and go from there. So let's power this off. Again, we'll power back on. Wait for this wonderful ROM-X to do its thing. And now we can go back into Diagnostics. We'll pick the IIe Diagnostics. We can run the IIe Diagnostics, the Apple IIe Diagnostics version 2.1. This is a different program. And we wait a moment for it to load up. It's running ProDOS. And this one is in 80 column mode. So you can see the screen is a bit different than the other ones. The nice thing about this one here is you can actually choose, you can select files you want to test. So if I want to do a CPU test, I can press enter. So it's going to do that one. It can do system interrupts. We're going to do the MMU and the IOU test. We can do RAM tests. We'll do the main logic board, let's say, for example, in the 80 column. And we'll just do that for now. And we can then execute selected tests, and it will run through the different tests that we've selected. This is a very nice diagnostics program. Again, all the different diagnostic software has their own pros and cons, and you'll see once you run them, they're all available online. You can find them, download them, and put in your SD card. Or if you watch one of my previous videos, I can show you how to take the downloaded image of the disk and actually make it into a floppy, where you can then pop it into a floppy drive and go from there. The nice thing with that is that you can then run a test independently of the W drive or any other floppy emulator like the floppy MU. The nice thing again is that you can run them on second drives or third, fourth drives if you have. The nice thing too is that you can make the floppy diskette for doing the floppy tests, where it'll read, write, and check alignments and so on and so forth. So tests are done here. Let us reboot one more time and pick a different diagnostic software. We'll just do one more for fun and giggles. So Diagnostics, my Apple IIe. We're gonna pick let's see, Computer Inspector. Why not? And we wait while this is booting up from Mac. And this one is nice. You can do machine identification, and it tells us enhanced 2E with 128K of memory. Has a serial card, printer card, which is a parallel card, extended 80 column card, the Apple II cards, which are the two that are, even though they're different, slightly different, they're different cards actually. One's for 3.5 and one is for 5.25. They're both coming up as the Apple, the Disc 2 card. The next test we're going to do is run the diagnostics that's built into the ROM of the ROM-X. Let's bring that up, and we're going to escape here. We're going to go down. There's a list here, and we have memory test utility for ROM-X C and E, which is the letter C. So we press C, and this is going to do a memory test. So it tells you this is revised in 2021. It's for the ROM-XE, created by Andrew Hogan, Reactive Micro, Ian Hogan, and more. So we want to use a test on the Apple IIe or IIc, memory bank, 80 column, and RAM-Works. So we're going to press spacebar for the menu. Oh, it's, by the way, it's telling us we have an Apple IIe extended 80 column card configuration with total 128 kilobytes of memory. So from here, we can run all the tests. Let's run them all. And as you notice on the side here, you're going to see the letters coming up. The letter P means passed, and you can tell which memory location it's working on testing. You also get a summary here of what's happening, and it looks like it's all done, and we are good to go. No problems, no issues on this machine. I wasn't expecting any, but let's go back to the menu. That's it. That's the diagnostics of the Apple IIe and how I do my own diagnostics. Okay, now back into the ROM-X, boot up. If you press escape, it kind of pauses it so it doesn't actually boot. And we can run different things. We can run with the enhancement ROM, unenhanced ROM, MG's ROM, with just have diagnostic, extended debug, monitor, and so on and so forth. And it's got a couple built-in games that has Dung Beetles, Choplifter, Raster Blaster, and you have a copy utility, memory utility, and ProDOS and DOS. So let's run Choplifter. There we go. Choplifter's up and running. Okay, we have Choplifter loaded here. It's up and running. And if you are interested in doing more or learning more about Apple II repairs, you can find a lot of interesting books and documentation on site. I also have a GitHub page where you can actually download a diagnostic spreadsheet that I've put together for the Apple II, the 2 Plus, 2E, 2C, and I have one for the Commodore series computers. And in there, well, actually, you know what? Before we go, let's bring it up on the screen and have a look. Okay, I have the vintage computer diagnostics for the Apple computer series. This is version 11.3 as of today. In this spreadsheet, when you open it up, you have to enable macros so that these buttons will work. So I have information here for the example, the 2 Plus gives information regarding the slots, information about the system itself, and some information regarding repairs. Here's also some code for some simple RAM test you can run on it. And if we go back to here, the diagnostics, we actually have a list of all things bad and what they are. So for example, if you're having a blank or no video display, here showing you all a bunch of things that could be the issue. The neat thing with this is I've set it up so that you can actually use these buttons to sort. So if I select all, unselect all, and I'm looking for blank, for example, let's pick one. Let's pick characters repeating after warm boot. So let's pick this. So this will tell you that in this particular case, it's usually the encoder in location U1. You can also sort from the other columns, power, beep, screen, floppy, etc. And it's the same thing for all the other ones. So for the 2E, we have information here. We talk about what goes in what slot, information about the computer, some favorite diagnostics program, and how to run the built-in diagnostics. You can follow this. And what else we have here? And some quick repair information. And just like the other one, we have the diagnostics, and it's the same thing. You have pull downs from here. You can select what your errors are, and it will give you hints and tips and tricks of where to look. For example, if this will not boot, no power, light, no drive. Here are just a bunch of things that you should be looking at, checking to make sure that they're good, and the location where they're located on the board. I also have 2C information. Again, this has more information regarding what is located where for the RAM, different versions of the ROM, what they mean, etc. And diagnostics. This is kind of sparse at the moment. I'll be adding more as we go. So from here, you can see that there's many different things. Some are in yellow. These ones I have not added yet, and I'll be adding them as I get information. So if you have information regarding the repairs or diagnostics of these systems, let me know, and we can work together. Other thing I just added recently is peripheral cards. So from here you can pick the card that you're looking at. If you look at the ROM card, serial card, the parallel card, and these cards, language card, these will have diagrams. So if I click on here, it actually gives me a schematic of the card itself. If we continue down, there's the floppy drive controller. Again, if you click on schematic, you get a picture of the schematic. So it gives you a little hand to help diagnose the problem. Additional cards, we have the 80 column card, again one other diagnostics here. Z80 card, for example. So I'm trying to make it one place where you can look for all the information as opposed to having to go to different sites, different PDFs, and different documents. Well, that's about it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment, a like, share, subscribe. And again, thank you for all my current subscribers. Really appreciate you subscribing. And for any new people, again, hope you like it, and please subscribe and tell your friends. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.